Hello, beautiful beings. How are you? How are you this evening or this night or this day, whenever you are watching this? I am Kenna Siu, the founder and empowerment guide of the Wellbeing Project. And I'm welcoming you today to our second session of the Living Intentionally Circle, the membership to really, that's what it is. Live your life intentionally. And today's topic is setting intentional goals. Well, as this year just has started, I guess most of us, we really set goals, or some people set resolutions or intentions. And I talked a bit about this on the last call, and actually the numbers are quite about the resolutions. It's like only 80% of the people who really achieve them. So that's what I want to focus more on, setting like intentional goals. And they are based on your deepest desires. So not only something, only on the surface. So we're going to dig in with a lot of practice. But before that, what I really want to say is I want to congratulate you for being here, for taking the time to prioritize yourself, because that's one of my main goals as an empowerment guide, really guiding people to prioritize themselves so they can, claim back their self-love, their self-confidence, self-worth, and be able to feel freer and happier, because the more you practice those things, the better you're going to feel every time. And of course, everything is a process. Everything takes time, but believe me, it is fucking worth it. So thank you so much for being here. And just to let you know, my intention for this call is to present this content of setting intention and goals from a very heartfelt place, because I've been doing it this way for several years, so I know it works. And also to give it in a simple way that you can really break down those goals, so you can really have a way to achieve them in an easy and a flowing way, because that's why sometimes we struggle. We have big goals, small goals, big goals, medium goals, but the big goals, sometimes it's really difficult for us to see it and achieve them, because they are either so far away and there are too many steps to take to get there that we get overwhelmed, right? So that's the idea, to really give you the guidance here of how you can set up your intentional goals and prepare you for success, right? So we're going to start first with what are intentional goals and how to discover them. How we're going to discover them is really with the practice that we're going to start doing in a moment. And but what are intentional goals? Like, if we really sink in and close our eyes, it's really what we want, what we really want. It's our deepest desires. Those are our main goals, our intentional goals, our deepest desires, and they are really based in our values, in how we live life. And of course, sometimes we need to find some tricks on that to actually get out of our comfort zone to be able to achieve them, right? But it's really those goals that we have that come here from the heart, from the soul. So that's what I'm going to start asking you to put your hands in your heart, close your eyes if that is comfortable for you. And if it's not, what you can do is just, gaze down. And so whatever feels better for you. And I invite you to start breathing in with me Hold for a moment and then breathe out. Breathe in again. Hold. Breathe out. Breathe in again. Hold. And breathe out. So this exercise really helps us to connect with our heart, with our body. And at the same time, with our breath, we come out of the mind and come to sync in with our body and with our heart. So with your eyes closed now, what I will ask you is to visualize. How do you see yourself in the next year? Or how do you see yourself in the next 3 years? Or 5 years? Or 10 years? And it might be the case that for you it's difficult to visualize. For me, sometimes is. So what I recommend you to do is just live the moment, experience the moment. And even if you cannot see clear images, what it can come to you could be shapes, colors, sensations in the body, emotions. So how do you visualize yourself in the near future? Or probably a further future? Where are you? What have you achieved by then? How do you feel? Who is with you? What's your environment? So imagine all these different things so you can start like seeing them, feeling them. Also smelling them. Use all your senses here. Take your time. See the things from the big picture. If you want to do a zoom in, go there. Go there. What are you touching? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you smelling? Use all your senses here. Because remember that we can be, do, or have whatever we want. It's usually our own mind that limits us. The truth is we are unlimited beings. It's about letting our minds go and fly and dream. Because even when sometimes we might think, oh no, that's impossible. Remember that the same word impossible contains the word possible. So let yourself go there deep in and feel and experience your deepest desires. And who have you become through that process? Like from a year from now, who are you? What are you wearing? Has your posture changed? Has your expression, facial expression, your body language, have they changed from the past year that you have already experienced? How do you feel? Do you feel less stress, more lightness in your body? Do you feel more joy more often? More freedom? Are you with the people that you love? Have you created new friends? Did you get a new job, or did you start your new business? What is it? Live it, experience it, see it, smell it. When you are ready, you can open your eyes. You can remove the hands from your chest if you want to, or you can keep them there. So you can you can continue feeling that experience of your future self still within. And remember that that's a very important part on the manifestation process, to really get to those emotions, to those feelings. Because as soon as we connect, as soon as we declare that we want something, the universe, God, they are already conspiring to give us that we want. Just go back and check which dreams you have already achieved, so you can trust that they are always working towards your dreams, towards your deepest desires. God, the universe, they are always having our back. And with this practice, the idea of closing your eyes and going within is to really connect with your heart, to really connect with your soul. Because that's where your inner self is calling, your soul is calling. Many times and more, because it's the new year, right? It's the goals, the usual ones, it's to get fitter, get a better shape, lose weight, eat healthier, many things like that. And probably some of those goals are not aligned really with what we want to achieve. So that's why it's important to really take the time and sink in with them, to really feel and to really listen to that inner voice that is telling us really what we desire, so we can say no to all other things that don't align with us. Because one of the main things of really achieving our goals is to be inspired, be motivated, right, with our goals. So we keep track on them and we keep working on them. So if we are setting goals that don't inspire us, that we are just doing it because of whatever reason, for following the checklist of somebody else, then most likely we're not going to achieve those goals, because it's not really of our interest, right? So what is that you want to accomplish this year? What is that you really want to work on this year? Do you want to really improve your health and your body shape because you really want to? Do you want to work on saving money, probably to buy a house or to buy a car or to travel? Do you want to start a new business, or do you want to write a book? Do you want to plan your family, have kids? Whatever it is that you want, start by writing it out, write it out which these goals are, and be as specific as possible. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention before to actually bring, your notebook and your pen, so you can start right here, right? And it's important to consider that when we really sink into our deepest desires, there are usually goals that are going to take long time to achieve, right? And probably others not. But the thing to consider is that we always start with one step. It's one step at a time. So the important thing is just to really start. And I'm going to help you here. I'm going to guide you on how to really set those intentional goals. So it doesn't matter if they are short-term or long-term, for you to really, again, help you and guide you to achieve those goals with success. Because then we struggle, we get overwhelmed, we get out of the wagon, different things, life happens, and then we get lost. That's really what happens sometimes. We really get lost. So after you have writing down your goals and being as specific as possible, we're going to move forward on how to set intentional goals. And if it was difficult for you to see that visualization, I have problems with this word. Anyway, visualizing. Yes, if you have problems like visualizing and you really had probably a bit of difficulty connecting with your heart because you are not used to it, I'm going to give you here some questions that they can guide you to also set intentional goals. So one of the questions are, what is your biggest priority now? Which is your biggest priority now? So based on that, you can set some of your goals. Another question is this a should or a want? So is this something that you really want to do, or is something that you should do according to whatever or whoever? Does this align with my values? It's very important that the goals that you set align with your values. And so we're January. In March, actually, we're going to talk about refining your values, really defining them, because probably there you have some values that they have already expired and you might think that they're still there, or you have already new values that you said, okay, now I want to start working towards, working and taking action and making decisions based on those new values that probably you start to implement this year, or you just make a shift lately, right? Another question is, will this matter in 6 months? So whatever goal you have from now, like if you set it now, is it going to matter in 6 months? So these different questions can really guide you a bit more on how to set your intentional goals, right? Another point that is very important is to know the why of each of your goals. And why is this important? Because when you really dig down on what is it, why is it that you want to achieve that goal, the more you ask it, because you can say, that you want to, let's say you want to travel. Okay, but why do you want to travel? Oh, because I want to know different cultures. I want to eat different foods. Okay, and what else? Well, I want to see some other scenarios from different parts of the world. Yeah, and why? Because I want to really experience something different. I don't know, the heat in Namibia or the cold in Alaska, you know? And the more you go deep on the why, and then if we go deeper on the why of why you like traveling, or at least my why of why I love traveling, it's because I love freedom. For me, traveling is part of my freedom and also is part of growth because I always learn something new when I travel. And it's part also of connection to a new land, connection to the people, connected to the self as well. Because when I travel and mostly alone, I get to really connect with myself too. So when you go down to what is the why of each of your goals, you really, that's gonna inspire you. That's going to motivate you to move forward towards that goal that you want to achieve, right? Another example that I can give you is like, let's say you want to have your own business. So why do you have to have your own business? Oh, because I want to help people. Okay, you want to help people, but why do you want to help people? Oh, because I want to help them to feel better. So then the world will be better. But then also, if you go a bit deeper, or probably your main reason is because you want financial independence. And why do you want that? Because you don't want to have a boss. You don't want to depend on a schedule, different things. So it's really important that you find that why. So every time you start getting out of the wagon of your struggling by taking action, you go to that why and say, okay, yeah, I really want to save this money for this travel because I want to experience this. I really want to study this because it's going to help me with my business that I want to create, because I don't want to have a boss on my back anymore. And that's going to keep motivating you moving forward, right? Then following with these goals is really define a wise timeline. And I'm saying wise because sometimes we are not very good at setting timelines. We can get really loose or lost because setting that timeline is going to really depend on your lifestyle, right? Like what kind of work do you have? Meaning, is it a 9 to 5? Which is your schedule? Do you have a family? How much time are you able to invest in yourself around also the activities that you have aside, according to the money that you are making, right? All those different elements are going to, well, you need to take them into consideration when you're going to set a timeline. So that's what I'm telling you. Do you need to be wise and consider these different elements? Because based on that, it's going to be your timeline, right? As an example, I'm gonna tell you, like for my 40th birthday, I went to celebrate it in a trip in Africa. So I really start planning this like a year ahead of the actual trip because I needed first a lot of money. I spent around $6,000 Canadian. And so first I needed to start by setting a budget, say, okay, how much is going to be the flight, the safari that I took, expenses, food, souvenirs, different things. So that was one of the main things that I did. It was just to consider a budget. Then it was searching the different safaris and different areas that I could visit around the continent itself in Africa. Then I start searching for different, like the flights, which was the best way to go, that it was not too long, but it was not too expensive at the same time. So all those different things take time. And it has been so far one of my dream travels I have ever had. So I really wanted to take the time to plan it with time and not be stretching myself last minute, like by, saving money or by booking the trip, like my flight at very last minute, all those little things. I really plan them on time. So that's why it is important to plan it according to your budget, to your time, to your energy levels as well, because that has a lot to do as well. And so it depends what your goal is, right? If you're planning to have a family, okay, from the time you are pregnant or your partner is pregnant, then you have usually, if everything goes well, 9 months. But what do you want to start planning before? Probably you want to move to an apartment, a bigger apartment, before you have a baby. You want to buy a lot of things, right? So how much money you need to save? What things can you actually probably get from family members for their friends? So it takes time. So you really want to plan that ahead, right? If you're planning to get a business, again, what kind of business is it? Do you need to get products? Do you need to study? What do you have to do? What do you need to start creating that business? How long is going to take you? How much money do you need? So again, do the timeline, considering your lifestyle that is now, and probably other things that you're planning to implement, probably to start gaining more money, or to have more free time here and there, or not spending the money on going out that often, So yeah, that's the timeline. Really be wise with it. And then based on that, again, if it's a trip, it can take you 1 year. If it's a trip that is only, in that case for me, was Africa, was another continent, so I needed to plan it way ahead. Probably it's a trip that is just gonna take you 3 hours, but you still may have to save some money, right? So the timeline for that one might be shorter. For your business, if it's something that you want to start from scratch, then it might take longer than if you have already worked on something similar and then you're just going to continue doing that. It might be shorter timeline. And so because of that, based on that, you're going to create your action plan, right? Depending on the goal that you're going to work on it. And it could be, I don't know, 2-3 goals per month. I'm getting there actually, because what I like practicing and that I have been doing for, I don't know, at least 5 or 7 years, something like that, it's setting 90-day goals. Yes, 90-day goals. And you may think, oh, but isn't it that like too often? Or it might be, but on the other side, the benefit of that is that, so what we usually do, what it is basically set your goals in 90 days, meaning 3 months. And then from there, you break it per month. And then from each month, you're gonna set the action steps or tasks that you want to do per week. And then from the week, you set it probably every several days a week, right? So it's really setting the task to a daily activity, because when you create this daily, then it's gonna help you probably achieve the goal that you have for the week, and then those weeks will accumulate to achieve the month per your goal for the month, and then from there for the 3 months. And then every 3 months or whatever is going to help you achieve then that goal that you have for a year or for 3 years or for 5 years or for 10 years, right? Because the reality is, we need to start with one step. It's little by little. But the cool part about doing and breaking down the goals in 90 days is really to have that sense of fulfillment, because it really does, at least for me, it really does, because I am seeing that I am advancing little by little. It's not like I didn't do anything. Sometimes I might achieve more that I kind of planned, sometimes a bit less, and it's okay, because life's still happening, right? But that's the thing. It's about having that sense and that motivation of saying, oh yeah, moving forward. And at the same time, that helps you to feel fulfilled. And feeling fulfilled, I guess, is one of the best things that we can actually feel, because we know we are working, in this case, towards our deepest desires. We know we're getting there little by little, or probably with bigger steps, but we are getting there. We are getting there. So that's a cool part. And then you know that you are constantly working towards that experience that you want to live, that thing that you want to create. Because remember, we're the creators of our own reality. We are co-creating with other people, but the main creator is us. So it's how much action are you taking daily, weekly, monthly, every 3 months, every year, towards your deepest desires, right? So the key really of that goal that you have is to break it down, as I mentioned before, to break down those goals, and then from there have then the tasks, or of this, breaking out this action plan and having those specific tasks, and then you play them whatever way it works better for you. So this is really how to set intentional goals. I'm just going to recap here to mention that. So how to do them, you can use the prompt questions that I asked before, in case your visualization was really deep and you want to go a bit deeper. You can ask, the questions. You can identify the why of each of your goals. Very important to keep inspired, to keep moving forward and being motivated. Define wise timelines. Super important, because life happens, but then if we put a timeline that is more flexible, it's gonna be best for us, because then we're gonna be able to move things around in our agenda. And then at the same time, that's gonna help you not to feel guilty, right? Because sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't do it. And then we become really judgmental and give a hard time to ourselves. So wise timeline, and create the action plan. Again, started by 90-day goals, breaking it down into every month, from every month, breaking it into weeks, and then for each week in days. Of course, it's not that you have to work every day on it. It will depend on your time flexibility, on the task, on how fast you want to achieve it or not. You have different factors, right? But the important thing is for you to create this action plan. And of course, I'm going to give you now some tips for you to achieve them and these goals. And the first thing that I want to do on creating the action plan, the first thing is to really put it into your agenda. Because most likely, if you don't put it there, you're never going to take action. Because if you write your goals and your tasks and then you put it in a drawer, most likely it's going to get stuck in there, right? So it's really about having those things visible so you are aware that they are there. And one of the things is really important to really have it in an agenda. It could be a physical agenda. For me, that's what I'm going to show you. Well, I haven't got it yet, the one for this year, but I mean, I have the one for last year, and it's really, I really loved when I can, then I see how the week is gonna be, and then when I'm in that week, I said, okay, so this day I'm gonna prioritize this and different things for the week, right? So, and for me, it's such a what's the word? Sensation of pleasure when I can really check out something and say, oh, I did it. And more with pen. So yeah, for me, that's what I really like, having a physical agenda. You can have a virtual one, like still you can check out, and then it's going to help you with your motivation, right? This is one thing. Another tip that I can give you is to really, again, put them in your calendar. If not, you may forget about it. You're just going to forget about them. And I'm going to be talking about how to design an agenda next month with all the things that we want to achieve, because we may have our main goals, but to achieve those main goals, there's a lot of things that need to happen behind. And behind, I mean, have probably a morning routine, exercising, having you time, me time, whatever you want to call it, having self-care practices, having time with family, with friends, all these different activities, part of your self-care that are important, that they need to be also in your agenda. So then we don't forget about those important things in our life, because what's the point of having then eventually, I don't know, the house of your dreams if at the end you didn't consider your friends or your family properly because you just wanted to achieve that goal, right? So it's kind of like, it's life balance. That's the truth. It's life balance. So yeah, we're going to talk about how designing an agenda next month. Other thing that can really help you to set these goals, if you want to do it methodically, is using the SMART method, right? You probably hear about it before. So the S is specific. So being really specific with the goals that you want to achieve. Then M is for measurable. How can you measure your progress? How will you know when you achieve your goals? So that's why I'm just gonna mention it now here, because another tip that I used that I'm gonna be sharing later on here on the Living Intentionally Circle. It's about having a goals tracker. I just really love having it there because it's really visual, and at the same time, so I can see what I'm doing every week. And one of the things that I also add in there is celebrating the wins. Yes, I mentioned it before, and I consider it super important. And then, so that's the thing. So when you are measuring and you know, like, oh yeah, I achieved this week, you are at the same time, you're recognizing, you're acknowledging that you are moving forward, right? And you know that you are moving forward. Even though sometimes it's not a specific number, it's just probably one of your goals is just to feel better because you were suffering from a lot of stress. So just that feeling of feeling a bit better, a bit lighter, it's also a goal. Sometimes it's difficult to measure like with numbers, but you can feel it in your body. So all those kind of goals are also very, very important. And I do actually include them in my goal tracker. And I can say that probably 50% of my goals in there and my achievements are based a lot in my inner self. Like if I achieve a shift, and I don't know, in a belief, if I change a habit, if I change a program in my mind, if I was drinking more water this week, if I was able to be more open from my heart, those little things, we can put them there. Everything counts. Everything counts. Another thing is from the SMART method, it's the A is of being attainable. So is this really something that you can achieve? And remember that I mentioned at one point that sometimes our mind can be like kind of try to block us and say, no, but that's impossible. Again, in the same word, the word possible it's included in there. So, because sometimes we may have some kind of like crazy dreams that we may think, oh, but no, you know. But that's a thing of being wise with our timeline, because then you're going to be more flexible with it. And so then consider again, can you achieve it? Probably if you, I don't know, let's say if you want to buy a house, a quite big house, okay, probably you cannot achieve it in the next five years. Not that specific house that you want. Probably you can buy another house. It could be a bit smaller, but probably in 10 years, you can actually have the house of your dreams. So never block yourself. Again, it's one step at a time. The R of SMART is relevant. Is this goal relevant? And most likely the answer is going to be yes, because at the very beginning, you connect with your heart, you connected with your soul. So it was really your inner voice telling you which are your deeper desires. On the other hand, it could be probably a goal that then you just consider that is not relevant anymore. And it's far enough to dish it. Don't spend your time on trying like, no, but I have it here on my list and I want to accomplish it. Yeah, but how much energy are you going to put on that if it's not relevant anymore? Right? And the T is timely, right? So can you really set a due date or a time where you're going to work on it? Again, as I explain you how you can break down and how you do your how to break down your goals. Are you going to do it daily, weekly, monthly, or is going to have a deadline in a specific date? So what is it, right? So you can use this SMART method to make your goals more how can I put it? What would be the word here? Like making more like settle for you, and to say like, if you have a really methodical mind, probably this is going to say, okay, no, yeah, I have this. I'm following this method, and I'm certain that all this is really achievable. So yeah, I'll go for it, right? Probably if you notice that it doesn't really like fit into here, and then you said, no, probably this is a bit, or I don't know, too crazy, or probably it's better a goal that you don't want to set now, that is better for you to wait a bit and postpone it for 6 months or for another year or for 5 years, who knows? It's still valid, right? So this really, if you want to, then consider this method. It's good. So another tip that I want to give you, that I told you that I'm going to share with you, is gonna be the goals tracker. So what I do, I have a Google Sheet where I have my goals. In this case, some of them could be goals long-term, but then I set them into the 90 days goals, right? Well, first of all, if they are a longer period of time, I have my goal list, and then I have the timeline that I may have it. And probably some of them, I don't even have a timeline because I know it's deep desire, but not really relevant at this time, right? And then, so you have the goal, you have the timeline. But then from there, you're going to take, again, the 90 days. So I have a list, like I have the 90 days goals. So it's a column there that I have the goals that I want to achieve in the case. I divide it per month. So what is it that I want to achieve every month? And then in another column here, it says, so which are my tasks of that week? And then what I add at the very end that I mentioned before is the wins, to really mention at the end, to really like follow up, because I like following up every week. Every week for me to plan my week. I usually do it at the beginning of the week. And this is another tip, is really like reviewing your agenda. So I like reviewing it at the beginning of the week, for me to know, okay, so I have these tasks that I want to achieve this week. So how am I going to set it up around my week? And then again, I write it down in my physical agenda here. And so then that I have a better clue of how my week is going to look like, or also to know if I need to move things around, if something else popped out that I have to prioritize, right? And so that's what I like, really checking my agenda at the beginning of the week. And also is when I say like, okay, I celebrate this win, And again, sometimes it might happen that something else happened, I couldn't achieve those things, I might move it to the next week, but I might have another win that I didn't expect it, that, that something happened, and it also was something that I achieved, that it was not in my to-do list, but it happened, and I want to add it there, right? So again, everything counts. Another thing that I like to do when reviewing my agenda is I like looking at my agenda just before going to bed, like for my next day. So at least I have a clue of what I'm going to do the next day. And I can sleep better if I have already something written, because, and if it's already, it's usually my calendar. In my iPhone, I have my iCal, so my things are in there. And when I check it at the end of the day, then or something comes up, I said, okay, so I'm just adding it there. So I'm sure that I'm not going to forget about it. And I don't leave it to my mind for the next day. One, because I might forget it, or second one, because what happens sometimes is like, oh yeah, I need to remember this, and then that might cause me not to have a really nice sleep because I'm worrying about something, right? So again, it's peace of mind. That's what I like, really looking at my agenda the night before, and then looking at my agenda after I finish my morning routine and practices, for me to know, okay, this is what I have to do. And so I am clear of what I want to achieve that day, right? Another tip for you to achieve your goals is add the things to your calendar, as I mentioned before. Like really schedule the things. What I do sometimes is after in my goals tracker, when I set there which goals I want to achieve during the month, and then I break it into the weeks. When I do that, I actually at the same time, I start putting those tasks in my agenda, in my calendar. So I know I have to work for those things. Could be a small task. It could be a task that it can take 1-2 hours per day, or that I want to just, use 2 hours one week. The other week, I might have 4 hours for that task. So I move things around according to my agenda, to whatever it's already there. But at the same time, I know it's there. I know that is there because I want to take action. So I'm not postponing it or forgetting about it, right? The other thing that you can do is really using reminders. Well, when I put it in my iCal, I also set the reminder. You can put Post-its around, at your home, in the fridge, in your mirror, in different places around on your desks. Just make sure that you don't get used to those Post-its, because sometimes we know the Post-it is there and then we tend to ignore it, right? So yeah, use reminders around the house or different things that it can pop up for you, and they said, okay, so I really want to do this at this very time. So remind yourself of your goals. As I already mentioned before, another tip to really help us move forward to our goals is to celebrate our wins. I do it weekly. You can do it daily. You can do it, if you want to. I prefer not to let it pass more than a week because I tend to forget. Yeah, I tend to forget. And then the thing is, then it's like, I didn't do much. But when I then start like remembering, it's like, oh no, I did this, I did that. This was not in my to-do list, and I also did it, different things. So again, celebrate your wins. It doesn't matter how small they are. It doesn't matter how big they are. Just celebrate. So you have that feeling of accomplishment, that you are achieving something, right? Because again, we may have some goals that are really long-term, and we may see them really far away. But if we know that little by little we are moving forward, that's gonna give us that kind of fulfillment and motivation and inspiration to keep going forward, right? Another tip is to remember your why of your goal. Again, sometimes we may think, oh yeah, I had to do this, and you're like, oh, kind of painful, right? So it's, again, like, remember why in the first place you want to achieve that goal. Okay, you gotta study something for your business. Yeah, but you want financial independence. So it's like, yeah, okay, so I'm gonna do it, right? And sometimes it's just about taking action directly. We spend more time thinking about if we're gonna take action or not, instead of just taking the action and then just being there and then like, oh, okay, cool. Oh. And then a few minutes after, or probably an hour after, like, oh, cool, I'm already done, at least for this little task that I planned for today. So that's another thing, sometimes not let our mind guide us and just take action. Just take action. And something that I consider very, very important, and maybe you as well, because if we have accountability from someone, we know that that person is there, like for us, holding space for us, or asking us questions of how we are doing. That really motivates us to keep going. So accountability, that's what I have, this Living Intentionally circle, to really grow here the community and support each other in our goals. If you want to work with a coach like with me, or if you decide not to work with a coach, and then ask one of your colleagues or your partner to serve you as an accountable partner, then go for it. Go for it. If you know that that's going to help you to keep motivated and keep going towards your goals, then don't leave it aside. And another thing that you can use is rewards. I mean, that's the truth. As human beings, we get motivated by rewards. It's like, okay, so I'm going to do that. So if what's going to happen, like, what can I gain after I achieve that task? What can I gain? How can you reward yourself? Right? So when you accomplish that, if it's a task out of your big goal, But if it's something that really, take you time and energy and probably money, you want to reward yourself because you fucking deserve it. As simple as that, right? So what kind of rewards can you have, even if they are like weekly or every month, or if you prefer just when you accomplish your goal, whatever works better for you, right? So consider all this. And that is basically it for today. That's what I wanted to share with you. How to set intentional goals. I really hope that this can help you one and another, and that it can really guide you. And with all these tips that I just mentioned, that they can really help you to keep moving forward, right? I'm gonna just repeat them so you know what they are. So tips on how to achieve your intentional goals. It was to use the SMART method, being specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Using the goals tracker that I'm going to be sharing here. Have an agenda, even if it's a physical one or a virtual one. Add the tasks to your calendar, so they're there and you gotta take action. Review your agenda the week before or at the beginning of the week, and as well the night before or at the beginning of your new day. Use reminders. Celebrate your wins. Remember your why. Have accountability. Using rewards, if that's what it works for you. And something that I missed to mention, but it's not list on the list, I guess. Yeah, this is very important, is to be patient and compassionate to yourself. Yes, that's very important. Because when it comes to our goals, since they are based in here, our worst judge is in here. It's really our mind. We tend to judge and to punish ourselves very bad. We are our worst enemy in that case. So consider yourself to be patient with your goals. Again, you have a timeline. If that timeline needs to change at one point because other things in life are happening, be patient. If you know you are moving forward and you would like to move a bit faster, but there are other things that you cannot really control, be patient. Take the time. What other things can you do instead that are probably not related to your goal at all? But at least taking your mind out of it is going to give you that patience that you require for that in a specific, right? And be compassionate to yourself. And I know this is not easy because I struggle sometimes. I do struggle to be compassionate to myself. Yeah, it's much easier to be with others, right? Than with ourselves. So be compassionate to yourself. Be aware of how you are feeling to, in your body. Like, how are you feeling? Like, okay, you have this goal. Are you feeling a lot of pressure in your shoulders? Do you have a lower back pain? Are you getting headaches? Because you have all this pressure putting in yourself because you want to achieve that goal. Again, be compassionate. Be compassionate to yourself. Notice which other things you actually need to take care of. Which other things you need to do before that. Because, we have enough time during the day, right? So don't forget to be compassionate to yourself. And with that, I'm closing this session of today, setting intentional goals. Again, I really hope that the content that I share with you, this is going to help you. set your intentional goals, the first of all, and then be able to follow through by these different tips that I share with you, and by setting those goals every 3 months, every 90 days. That's the best way for me that it works. And for the information that I read, also, like most of the people, they really recommend do this. Again, we're here for success, whatever that definition it is for you. We're here to feel happy, to feel fulfilled with whatever we are doing. So it is very important that you are present, that you are aware, that you are very conscious of what you want to create in your life. Again, you are that creator. You are that creator. It's free will. You are the one making the choices. And it's only up to you to achieve those goals. That's it. So wishing you all the best, a fantastic year. And I am here if you need further help to guide you, if you want to really need more guidance or accountability in all these things, just let me know. I'll be more than happy then to help you and guide you, and yeah, to work together in this journey. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, whatever stage of your day you are. And as usual, sending you lots of love and kisses. Take care.